Welcome to a Christmas tree intro.
Oh, Tannenbaum, oh, Tannenbaum.
Oh, there we go. Holy moly. If you put that
Merry
that person
Christmas.
if you put that person in a yard, you would not be able to find them and you'd be cussing yourself all year
Yep.
trying to find that figure. Uh Welcome to a special evening blend, a Christmas Eve edition. This is a pre-recorded edition that we're doing to try to get out some content, considering we're kind of, at the holidays, and so it's kind of a weird time for everybody. It is for me in more ways than one, and I know for everybody out there, and even for you, Matthew, everybody has a lot going on. That's for sure. But we want to at least try to bring a couple stories and have something out there. I'll set it as a premiere, which you may be watching right now, actually. And we might be able to be in the chat here or there. Just depends on what's going on. But how you doing tonight, man? You doing okay?
Doing good. Work is work and we're getting through it. And it's Christmas Eve. So we're going to be celebrating the holiday soon over in our family. My daughter's in a play tonight. So she gets to be a sheep. So we get to see that.
Okay.
And then we're planning on watching Frosty the Snowman and Charlie Brown Christmas to round
Nice.
out the night. And then any last minute, anything we need to have set up, all that kind of fun stuff. And, taking care of business on Christmas. So
Nice.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody. And yeah, I'll be probably doing the last minute shopping. Really, I mean, at this point in the night, I'll be done with everything. But yeah, it's really a matter of getting those last things tied and knotted and cards filled out and everything and wrapped and whatever. And I am a last minute. There's still things I get to the last minute, setting stuff out and all that stuff. So that's what I'll be
I,
doing
I saw a
this
friend who
evening.
sent a great meme to me the other day, and it's the wife spends all this time buying gifts, packing everything up, making everything perfect, and then the husband comes in and he wraps this one gift for his wife, and he just throws it in a bag and throws some tissue paper on top of it and goes perfection, and
Yeah.
he's all proud of himself.
Well, there have been years I've felt like that.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. There have been years I've felt like that. There's been years where I felt like it was perfection, that I had it all ready. I was good to go, and crossed every T, dotted every I, and then there's been many years where that's not the case, and I've
yeah,
just been, like, oh my God, is everything gonna be finished? And then Christmas Day comes around, and ultimately at the end of the day, nobody really worries about that. You do all
yeah,
that worrying, all that build up, but that's just us. That's human nature. That's what we do,
yep,
and we do it for everything, right? We do it for everything, every conversation, every moment that might be a big thing to us. It becomes bigger in our heads, and Christmas, I think, is one of those things where ultimately people enjoy spending time together, and that's
yep.
really what it's all about.
That is what it is all
I know
about.
it is for us. So, but we do have a few things to bring y'all's way, and obviously without a chat, I can't go to that. It's almost like a crutch in a way for me to bring up the chat and
Well,
talk
thank
about
you
who's
everybody
here.
for joining us tonight. We appreciate you. We'll probably be chatting at you in the chat,
Yeah,
just saying hi. So we
right.
appreciate you coming in, tuning in during the premiere or commenting later. Like, share, subscribe. We love you guys. Have a Merry Christmas and enjoy the show.
Yeah, you nailed it, man. And so without further ado, I did not make a bunch of banners and all that. We this was kind of putting something together, and it is what it is. But did have a few stories to bring up, and so without further ado, there's a couple things I definitely wanted to get into for y'all, and one of those is Sonic 3 absolutely crushing the competition. Um, it's funny because this is the third one, and the
Yeah.
first one I think was kind of a surprise. I think,
Yep.
they this is one of those instances where the people who were creating the CGI put out early shots of Sonic, and
Hmm.
people were not happy. Fans were
Yep.
not happy. And they went back, they changed it, they made it what people wanted, and I think that went a long way. And the first
Well,
movie really went big.
well, yeah, it did. It went big because of that, but also, I mean, if you think about this, they didn't change the movie because of what the fans said, except for the render
The
of
render.
Sonic.
Hmm.
That's all they did. They changed the render. Everything else was the same as what they had made. And if that movie had come out and it had been that Sonic that they had originally rendered, people would have not liked it as much, even though it was the same movie. But even though they changed the render, aesthetically people connected with it. They're like, oh, this is awesome, and then they wanted to support him, so they had goodwill going into it for the changes that they already made.
Right.
And everything else in the movie was like, oh, this is good.
Well,
and
you
and
get,
the second one was fun, and then the third one, whew, I can talk about the third one was great. I loved it a
well,
lot.
dude, that's exactly it. That's why I kind of wanted to bring it up because you had talked about it. And so, without maybe giving spoilers, if you want to, by all
Yeah.
means, man, give your take on it. Just really quickly, um, it has absolutely just blown past the Mufasa Lion King,
Mm-hmm.
prequel. And so what is your take
I,
on Sonic 3?
I'll tell you, the reason that it's blown past Mufasa is because this movie still has its soul,
Okay.
whereas Mufasa, I don't think has a soul because it's a corporate amalgamation of we have to do X, Y, Z, and blah 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 blah.
Right.
Where this is made by people who love the property, who are engaged with the community, the fan base, the fellowship, whatever you want to call it, and are like, let's do justice to this, right? And for me personally, there's some things that happened in the post-credit scene of this movie that I thought would have happened earlier, but they didn't, and it surprised me. Uh, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but they've already greenlit the fourth movie. A week into this one,
So that
as it's
tells you everything you need to
that
know.
tells you everything you need to
Yeah,
know,
right.
right? This movie is, I think, better than two. I think maybe better than one,
Okay.
but that's also because Keanu Reeves kills it as Shadow,
That's what
right?
I've heard. That's what I've heard.
Idris Elba's Knuckles is always fun. The characters they have in this movie are great, and what they do is right at the beginning, the family unit, they kind of cut themselves off from them, right? And, they say, okay, we have to go do this, and then they get caught up in this whole storyline, and you know spoiler, not spoiler, it's in the trailer. Jim Carrey plays two characters in this movie.
Yeah.
And they make a joke about him playing two characters in this movie. I mean, they get a little meta a couple of times, and it's funny because it's only for a second, and then they move on and they go through with it, right? Jim Carrey says this is the last Sonic movie he's making. He's not going to make any more. I don't know if that's true or not because he also said he was never going to act again, but then he needed money. Uh,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
He absolutely kills it in this movie as both uh, Robotnik, uh, Ivo Robotnik, and then his grandfather.
Right.
It's really fun. It's engaging. There's a heartfelt story here about what teamwork is, what family is. The lessons that we have to learn, the mistakes that we have to make to learn those lessons. There's a lot to this movie that's truly engaging and really a fun adventure at the same time. I mean, this is entertainment and it's life lessons and it's really fun and cool. And so I recommend that people go out and watch Sonic 3. I think
I
you're
mean,
going to anyway because it's fairly good movie. And then you've got other ones to watch for this
I
holiday
mean,
season. But
it's doing gangbusters. I mean,
yeah,
I think it would be easy if, I mean, at this point, being the third one, I think it's kind of hard to deny, obviously, that they've been successful.
yeah,
And obviously, with a IP like that, where you can add characters coming in, I think in the past we've seen stuff like this where maybe the first one was just off the charts. And
hmm
then you get a second one, then you're straight to DVD, what
hmm
used to be, right? And
yep,
now straight to streaming, whatever. But because I think it has the names in it, right? Keanu Reeves, Idris Elba, Jim
honestly,
Carrey.
I don't know that it's the names. I,
Well, what I mean by that is that they've added
yeah, yeah,
names to it,
gotcha. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And those are heavy hitters. Where in
yep,
the past, I think we've seen some franchises that as they added names, it was like an actor that was reaching out for that part,
yeah,
reaching out, trying to revitalize, right? And it's like, look who we have. We have, Amy Adams or whatever it is, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and
right,
I just to use a name.
yep,
But those names are heavy hitters, right? And
yep,
so as you're adding these characters, you're adding quality actors, voice
yep,
actors. And so it's only growing. Now, I don't know how far this thing can go. Jim Carrey doesn't want to do another one. I could understand if they want to try to go in a different direction, right? There's only so many times maybe you can reach in the well
right,
for one character, so to speak.
yeah.
But yeah, it's doing gangbusters, man. And
And
and only hearing like your review and talk about it and other people, it's getting legs, right? People, more and
it's
more people
yeah,
want to
it's
see
got legs, and that's the thing. Word of mouth is carrying everything these days.
it.
And if
Right.
you know anything about Sonic lore, you'll probably be able to predict the post credit scene, but you know, or what's in the post credit scene anyway. But I'll just say there is a post credit, and it's worth watching.
Okay.
So check it out.
Well, yeah, it's just according to this article, it says Sonic the Hedgehog 3 surged ahead with a formidable $62 million opening weekend, nearly doubling Mufasa, which debuted with 35 million domestically. Both films are extension of beloved intellectual properties. However, the disparity in their opening numbers highlights a significant misstep for Disney. We also, I think, even this has been happening for a few years, and
Mm-hmm.
it's probably happened for a long time, but I think even more so because there are fewer films that companies are relying on to be those money makers. We're
Yep.
going to really start to see them, and already have, rearrange their release schedule because they don't want to go up against movies that are going to, do you think for one second that Disney thought that this Mufasa movie would not outplay Sonic the Hedgehog 3 in their minds?
Based on previous performance, there's no way that they would think that Sonic 3 would outperform one of their
Right.
movies that's coming out, because their live action reinterpretations of these things have been successful
Yeah, they've been
for the
big.
most part.
Yeah, they've been successful.
And
They have.
as terrible as they are, they've been successful. But I think slowly over time, people are realizing that until you hear people say good things about it, maybe we don't go see the live action, which is why Moana live action, I think, is going to have a problem, because
Yeah.
this Moana 2 not doing so well,
Yeah.
right? People aren't really gravitating toward it. The kids like it, but that's about it. And if the
The
kids like it, that's fine, but it's a direct to DVD type of movie that they put in the theaters.
And the first movie, I think, connected with adults. It
Yes.
connected with children, and
Yep.
that's always like just a breadwinner for a studio. If you
Yep.
can get adults and children to buy in.
Yep.
But I think with the Moana 2 is that the story is not really resonating the way that the first one did.
Well, it's
And
because the adults see it as what it was. It's the last 4 episodes of a TV series that we didn't see the previous 12 episodes, right?
yeah, right, right.
And the adults see this, the kids don't care. The kids see it and say, "Oh, this is like an engaging story," and the parents are like, "Well, the story's kind of okay, whatever." The kids like it. it's fine. So it's meh. And
I,
apathy is the killer of all franchises.
yeah,
Just
I just think with Moana too, I just don't know what else you could do. I think that story
exactly.
really does kind of wrap itself up. But of course, with with Disney and many others, it's like, okay, well, how can we string this out, right? How can we string this out? Let's just do
It's
whatever
the
we can
corporate
do.
mindset. The corporate
Yes,
mindset is always about
100%.
franchising
Yes,
and building off of what previously came and saying, "Hey, that was that won us some money. Let's make it win us some money some more." And then you throw this thing out there and out there and out there until it's so worn out that there's nothing left of it.
right.
And we've seen them kill franchises left and right in the last
Yeah.
10 years. So
Well, it's funny because looking at this article, just to stay on the subject for just a moment. It talks about both films defied box office projections, albeit in different ways. Sonic 3 was initially expected to pull in between 55 and 60. Mufasa was forecasted to bring in around 50. Mufasa managed to make a respectable 87 million internationally, which
oh yeah, that's true.
global opening total of 122. But its domestic underperformance cast a shadow over Disney's latest endeavor. And
Sonic has not opened internationally yet.
that's right. And Disney also declared, and that brings us kind of our next thing. Disney declared that Mufasa was the number one movie in the world.
Did they say in the world or did they say in America? I guess they
Disney
probably
hit
said in the
with a
world.
community note on X
Yep.
for declaring Mufasa the number one movie in the world amid Sonic 3 domestic dominance. It says Disney is currently under fire after company touted its latest film, The Lion King. Mufasa, The Lion King, is the number one movie in the world. And then, of course, it reads the number one movie in the world is hilarious and will take you on an epic adventure. Get tickets now. Um, However, there is a community note right here that says readers added context because for domestic box office, Sonic claimed the number one spot. International, yes, Mufasa took number one, but Sonic 3 hasn't opened at all in international markets, and we can only assume that it's going to just
It's
speed right past
that's it.
Mufasa. And
That's it.
Mufasa, the legs for Sonic, again, no pun intended, will carry it right past, and I think Mufasa's just going to kind of die off a cliff. I
It's
just
it's
don't think
gonna
it's what people
disappear.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Well, and even the people that would like this movie that would be gravitated towards it said, "What about all these other stories that have already been told in this world that talk about the origins of Mufasa and Scar?" And now they're retconning all of that
Right.
stuff that they've already appreciated, that they've already consumed and enjoyed, that has been produced by Disney already.
Yes.
And now they're doing this, which completely destroys all that. So they're destroying their own lore because of corporatism or whatever. I don't know, but it's Disney making stupid decisions, which you know is on par for everything else. Warner Brothers is the dumbest company in the media industry, but Disney's right next to them.
Yeah, it's just look, I Sonic doubled basically the domestic box office. And so if you just look at internationally, it just seems like this is only, it's only going to continue to grow. And so, look, we're in an age right now where you see Apple, you see Paramount, you see, it doesn't matter, HBO, Max, whatever. They
Yeah,
will declare this show is the number one show in the country, or this show is the number one show in the world, or whatever. And we know those are hollow statements because they're not real. They're not based on actual facts. They're
right,
they're just kind of thrown in there at by whatever company wants to tout whatever it is they're making, regardless of how good it is. It's just the
right.
next thing, right? The
Yep.
next thing they want to promote. And they'll say that kind of stuff. And it is disingenuous, man. Like, it's
Well,
really disingenuous.
and people have caught on to this. They've caught on to the disingenuousness of these
Yes.
these these media article headlines, and they're like, well, but there's qualifiers. How many qualifiers are there? how many qualifiers do you have to go down before you get to the truth, right? And more and more people are becoming savvy to this, and our audience, I think, is
Yes.
pretty savvy to it. But
Yeah.
you pay attention to these qualifiers because you realize it's it's BS.
Yeah. It's
There's
BS.
no truth to it. It's just, hey, it's the number one movie in the world right now. Okay, well, Sonic 2 hasn't premiered internationally, and when it does, it's gonna kill you. Oh, well, that's because we've been out for so long. Okay, well, but ultimately Sonic 3 is going to destroy your numbers at all
It's
by the
all
time
it's
it
all
comes out.
wording, it's all
Yeah.
semantics, it's all
Yeah.
kind of, hey, if we put the headline out right now, even if
Mm-hmm.
it's for one day, can we drive enough traffic?
That's it.
And I think ultimately, depending on the movie, but when you have to resort to those tactics in a way, I
Yep.
think you already know what you're
Lost.
facing.
You already
Yes.
lost.
Yes. People know when a true blue great movie or show or whatever is the number one show. It's they know it. You know why? Because when they go somewhere or they hang out or they're on their phone with their friend or whatever it is, there people are talking about
We're
it.
talking about it.
No
Yeah.
one is talking about Mufasa,
Now,
the Lion King.
right.
Come on.
But this is also where Parrot Analytics fails. You know what
That's true.
Parrot Analytics is, right?
Right. Yes.
So Parrot Analytics is this software essentially that monitors hashtags, and if people are talking about certain subjects, not positively or negatively, just if they're talking about a subject. And so a lot of media companies in the last 4 or 5 years have used Parrot Analytics to determine how popular something is, even though they're not reading the comments to realize how much negativity there is about said topic.
Right.
They're just looking at how many people mention this topic in either an at or a hashtag, and they're basing that on they're saying that's ratings, and they're viewing that. And once Jack Posobiec lost his control over Twitter, everything changed, and community notes got put into place, and all kinds of stuff. Twitter saved free speech and saved the consciousness of humanity, I think. But
Well, and the paradigmatic part of it is, yeah, you can have something brought up and you can look at how many people are sharing it and talking about it and hashtagging it and all that, but it doesn't mean that's in a good light.
like I said, yeah, they're not taking
Go
it
back
into
and look
account.
at the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial.
Yeah,
That's all one has to do to go look
yeah,
back, because you could see that the parrot analytics told you, yes, they were talking about Johnny Depp, and but most people were saying, yeah, he's not the crazy one here.
right.
It was actually the other way around, but they were
Yep,
trying to use that in her defense. And but my point is that, yes, a lot of times people want to refer to that. Oh, well, yeah, people are talking about it. Yeah, but they might be talking about it as in this is crap,
yep,
right? And
yep,
I think that's the part that people have to understand, that
absolutely.
you need to know what's going on. And so when Disney makes declarative statements, when people make statements, this is the number one movie, this is, it's a top of the this is the number one New York Times bestseller and all that kind of crap. Um, it's all in the moment,
Yep.
but all you have to do is dig a little bit and you'll
Oh yeah,
figure out what's real and what's not real.
that's it. Just dig a
And
little
yes,
bit,
just
and
a
you will
little,
find.
just a
It
little bit.
doesn't take much, because then you realize that the New York Times bestsellers buy their listings.
Yes,
They
yes,
purchase their rankings on the bestseller list.
yes, absolutely. And so look, you and I have not had a chance to react to this yet, and so I wanted to react to this. This is the Superman trailer.
Oh yeah,
We had
yeah.
we had talked about it. I'll just play it a little bit at a time.
I
I'm
was
gonna
gonna say you got to
I,
be
I'm
real
gonna keep the I'll
careful.
keep the volume down.
Yeah, Warner Brothers is
Uh,
hitting this hard.
but maybe we'll just, you and I can just comment on it. I just play it a few seconds at a time. You know, uh, I'm not crazy, I guess, at the beginning of us seeing Superman bruised and battered. I'd
Did
rather
you
see
see
a
what James Gunn
hopeful
said
part
about
in the
this?
beginning. I did not. I've read
Okay,
a
so
bit, but
so
enlighten
James
me.
Gunn actually commented on this scene right here,
Okay.
and and he just destroyed the credibility of the film, in my opinion, because
Okay.
he says showing Superman beaten and battered at the beginning of this film is a representation of showing how America has been beaten and battered over the last election cycle. And so this is how he starts his statements. And if he kept his mouth shut, people could say this could be anywhere in the movie. There's
Right.
all kinds of context. People are making excuses for him. But now
Right.
he's definitively said this is the beginning of the movie. Okay.
Yeah.
Not just the beginning of the trailer, but the beginning of the movie. That he is beaten and battered. That is a representation of how America has been beaten and battered in this last political cycle. And I said, well, it's kind of true in some ways, but we got to think something happened here and something changed here. And you can say better or worse, but something changed here. And this is the way you start your trailer. No one wants to see a beaten and battered Superman. Superman is the man of steel. Superman is the symbol of hope, the
Right.
symbol of optimism, the symbol of indestructibility, right? He is the symbol that should be shown out there. And if something is beating him up, okay, this has to be the most serious threat that there is. And that has
Right.
to be like 4 movies down the line.
Right. Right. I look. I understand, I guess, where if you want to build suspense, you want to say, hey, this is, how is this possible, right? Like, what was this? This had to
Yeah.
have been something so massive and so monumental to do this. But I just don't think it's the best way to start out your trailer.
Nope.
It doesn't mean you don't have to, intimate it in some point,
Yeah.
that obviously something happens, but I just think that people are looking for the hopeful
Yep.
and the promising, and I
Right.
just think that would have been a better way to
And
start things
we
out.
understand there has to be conflict. There has to be threat. There has to be
Yes.
that kind of stuff
Yes.
in there. There's a much different way to present that with the Man of Steel, with
100%.
Superman, right? Than doing it this way. Okay, go
Right.
on.
And so obviously, we get him lying here, and then as it kind of gets, I'll kick it up here. All right. We get the different shots of him.
Now,
And shoot, even my
this
internet's acting weird. I'm
this
not
is it.
crazy
This is
about the
interesting.
hair.
I hate the hair,
Yeah.
but it's interesting because uh, you know they picked an actor who probably is going to do a pretty good job with this because you look and see how much he towers over everybody,
Oh yeah.
right? And I don't know if you know, but this actor was in Twisters.
Okay.
Okay, he was in Twisters, and when they went back for reshoots for Twisters, they had to CGI him thinner and smaller
Oh come
for
on.
Twisters to match his character in Twisters for how much he bulked up for this role.
Okay.
So he bulked up a lot to play Superman.
But are we
So
gonna have the same thing as Henry Cavill's mustache?
not in this movie.
Not in this one, but in the
It,
other one.
in
In
Twisters,
Twisters.
you can probably maybe see some of the
Right.
CGI slimming down that they had to
That's
do on
so
him. I don't know.
funny. That's so
But I
funny.
never saw Twisters because Twister was a great movie and I don't need to see a sequel to
No, I don't need a
that.
sequel. Man, my internet's actually playing tricks on me right now.
But you see him being the
You
guy
know,
walking. I mean, they're showing good things here, right? Except for the beaten and battered Superman who has to call upon,
yeah.
um, you know, there it is, James
We
Gunn.
yeah, and we do have kind of the font, right? It's a little bit reminiscent of this
Well, and
78.
then the music, right? They're mixing the themes
It's a
of
guitar, kind of a guitar
yeah.
tone with the original theme,
Well, but
the
it's also
John
mixed
Williams
a
theme.
little with Man of Steel too. So
Right.
there's some Man of Steel themes in there as well.
Right.
Now Lois here, I have no problem with the actress they cast as Lois. I have no problem with how she's dressed, how she's acting, all the stuff is Lois Lane to me because some people are saying Lois Lane is supposed to be the most beautiful woman in the entire DC universe. And I go,
Right.
you guys are freaking crazy. Okay. She's an intrepid reporter. She doesn't wear makeup because she's a reporter, right? She
Right.
doesn't look glamorous. She doesn't look beautiful. She is pretty, you know, she is a good looking woman, but she doesn't have to be outstanding all the time. And people were bashing this actress on that. I'm like, I think they did a good job.
I think sometimes that's a fact of what you've been served up.
I
And
guess so.
I will tell you what you've been served up in Batman or Superman, like the animated
Yeah.
stuff, is Lois is very attractive.
Well,
She is.
I mean,
And then even in certain comics and other media, Terry Hatcher, like you know what I'm saying? Let's not kid ourselves.
Terry Hatcher, she was great in
I
that
mean,
role.
come on. So it's not like, that's I can't fault anybody for feeling like Lois is supposed to be a beautiful character. I personally, even made the comment on the Friday night stream that, this she does not do it for me as far as Lois. And that's just me. Now, whatever
Okay.
that means, I don't know.
I
Ultimately,
I
I
had
don't
a thing
care
for
as
Alanis
long as
Morissette
she's
back
able
in
to
the
present.
day.
I actually think this is a very, very strong Alanis Morissette back in the
That's
day.
right.
Very much
I had
so.
a thing for that back in the day. I'm just saying.
That's funny. That's actually really funny and very spot on. Really spot on. So we get Lois here. I'll kind of just clip through it, I guess,
now,
really.
now I have heard some people talk about this, and I don't know. We don't know, but from what we're seeing here, he's playing off Clark as extra goofy millennial goofy, not 80s 90s
I
goofy.
have to see it. I have to see it if it's millennial or not, because I think there's similarities that most
Yeah.
people don't remember that there are
Oh,
with
I no.
people, with human beings.
And I've been hearing people that have seen more of this that are critiquing him
Okay.
on some of that aspect, like he's a bumbling, fumbling fool as Clark. And I go, well, Clark kind of did that sometimes.
I mean,
I got to see the
Christopher
context for it.
Reeve was that way.
Well, but in context or in perspective, his was much more subtle. But still, at the same time, yes, he did play that character, and it's appropriate, and maybe in this generation, it is appropriate for this character to be that way.
Right.
I do need to see that. So people are critiquing
Yeah.
it harshly on stuff that I don't know is actually going to be a
Yeah,
problem.
it needs to be like we need to be able to actually really see it. And I think
Yeah,
sometimes it gets lost on people that regardless of technology or what's popular at the time,
yeah,
human beings are still human beings. 16-year
yep,
old guys are still 16-year-old guys. You know what I'm saying?
right,
And there are just certain things that just are and will always be, no
yep,
matter whether the technology changes or not. Right.
right,
And
yep.
so I don't know. I need to see that for myself, but I can understand that, and I mean it's all in the portrayal. Let's see here.
Yeah, but they cited a couple things where he was clumsy and dropped stuff or whatever. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay,
Obviously.
so
So
okay, you
here.
bring up
Okay.
James Gunn. Hold on. In the trailer, you bring up James Gunn, and then you bring up Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Okay, so okay, you're trying to instill the people, hey, you love this Marvel thing over here with Guardians of the Galaxy. This guy
Right.
made that. Okay,
Right.
well, this guy has only ever made that's been good. Okay,
Right.
it's quirky, it's funny, it's sarcastic, it's irreverent, and that's all he's ever made that has been of value. He made the Suicide Squad. Okay, he
Right.
made this Creature Commandos. Right, and even his horror movie that everybody was talking about recently, that they actually like the horror movie. It's a quirky, funny, sarcastic horror movie, right? Okay, this is all he knows how to do. So putting him in the Superman role doesn't fit for me, because Superman is the epitome of hopeful and being the paragon of human endeavors,
Right.
right? And so to put this up here is throwing shade at Marvel and trying to build up James Gunn's profile, his resume,
I
but
think
at the
it's
same
trying to
time, it
build
takes
up.
away.
I think it's trying to build up the resume with the audience.
Uh, I get it, but
I mean,
at the
I'm
same
going to
time,
tell you, we see this all the time, Matthew. We see it all the
I know.
time. It's in video games too, where they say from the people who brought you Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, for the
Yeah,
people that brought you Mass Effect, for the people that brought you Fallout.
yeah,
It's
but
you
some of
see
that
it
stuff is
all the time.
lies. because it's not
Yeah,
the entire team. It's just one person from
I,
that group or whatever. So
I agree. I agree. But I look at this as just like, hey, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Well,
yes,
this is the guy that did Guardians of the Galaxy. So obviously, you love those films. You're gonna love this film,
I know
and
people
so
are
I
stupid and they'll fall for that.
yes, and I kind of I look at it for me personally. I look at it like that. Like I
Yeah.
just think, hey, you're gonna because let's face it, this is a big freaking IP. This is
Yes.
a big deal. This is a big deal for DC. So you're going to put every resume catchy thing you can put
I.
out there to
Yep.
gather people and say, yes, I trust that guy because I love those two or three movies,
For
right?
sure. For sure.
So to me, that makes
Because if
sense.
this movie isn't a massive home run
If it's
and
not,
kills it with $1.5 billion in ticket
then
sales,
nobody cares about a Superman movie,
nobody cares about
right?
it. Yeah.
So I get it, you know, I do, and this is the way I look at it. But right
Yeah.
or wrong, I
No,
don't
yeah.
know,
No, I get it.
I
Yeah.
see that. I can see them just throwing that all out there. I'm not sure about our Pa Kent here. If this is Pa Kent, we don't really know that for sure.
I mean, okay, so
There's
and
somebody back here behind too. And well,
sure.
no, that's his hand actually. Never mind. That's his
Yeah,
hand
that's his
reaching back. I
hand.
thought it was a
Um
guy for a second, but no, we
so
don't know for sure unless, you know, I don't want to sit here and play the whole trailer, you know,
yeah, I'm fairly certain they're intimating this is Pa Kent,
probably.
so they could be flipping the script and that Ma Kent died and Pa Kent's still alive, right?
Right.
But I mean, he's trying to portray an American farmer of today, and is this what American farmer looks like today? I don't know. I know a couple farmers; they don't look quite like that, but
I don't know.
you know, some people are saying
Flannel.
Harvey Weinstein. I don't see that at all.
Yeah,
Flannel.
I didn't either.
It's the stocky, bald, overweight kind of thing, and
I think yeah.
I mean that could be very true. I don't care. I want to see how it's portrayed, but if they're flipping the script on Ma and Pa Kent and who died, I don't know if I like that as much.
I don't want that. What I do and actually, you know what? I don't even really necessarily care about the portrayal of him,
Mm.
as in he has to be Kevin Costner look-alike, or he has to
Well,
be
no,
like,
yeah. I
you know what I'm
don't get me
saying?
started on Kevin
No,
Costner and Pa
I'm with
Kent.
you. But you know what I mean though. Like, does he have to be, you know, 6'5" or 6'4",
Mm.
212 pounds, at 60 years
No,
old and still strapping? You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to have that. I don't have
yeah,
to
I don't
have it.
care.
It's is it good? Is the actor good?
Right.
Is it
That's what I
convincing?
care about.
That's what I care about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
So,
that's what I want to see. So people are criticizing this. I'm like, well, we haven't seen it yet, so we don't know.
and let's not
And
kid ourselves. Here, Matthew. The other thing too is like, you know, he's an alien from outer space, and yet a lot of times it's almost as if like Pa Kent is portrayed as if like Clark is like his offspring, and like they would be completely different.
yeah,
Don't you think? Like, I mean, really though, like I could totally. I mean, you know, a farmer or somebody. It's not going to
well,
be just some
but
cowboy necessarily. It could be anybody.
it could be anybody. But at the same time, mannerisms, right? I
Sure,
mean, that's what gets, you
yeah,
see
that's
it,
true.
you
Good
replicate
point.
it, and so
Right,
the mannerisms of this man need to mimic what Clark is going to mimic,
right.
and because that's his example, that's who he wanted to
Yeah,
mimic,
yeah.
and so as a father figure, as his adopted father who's raised him from an infant, that's all he would know.
Right.
And so whoever this man is and however he is portrayed needs to be an inspiring character in his own right. Okay? To show him this way and overweight whatever, he doesn't seem to be that inspiring
Right.
of a character. And so that kind of takes away from it because Clark would want to emulate his father figure in most every possible way.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. I mean, if you're just wanting to stay true to the story, right? If you want to stay true to it, then yes, obviously. And he gets a lot of his morals so to
Yes.
speak, right?
Yes.
And so I mean, we'll see.
It depends on
Who
portrayal.
knows, man?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, this is, it's just
It's
it's a small part of this trailer. It's not
it
a
is
big
a
part
small
of it.
part of this trailer, but at the same time, for me, it's also somewhat important. So while I like to see this, I really need to see their interactions and see who Paul Kent is,
Yeah,
to really judge it. But at the same time, I'm not enthused. That doesn't make me enthusiastic about who Paul Kent is.
right. No, I'm with you. It is funny though, the Harvey Weinstein.
I don't
Like,
get that. I don't see that.
I don't either, but it's like, all right, I guess we're reaching there. Do we really
A
need
little
to reach
reaching.
there? I mean, come on,
Yeah.
like,
Right. Yeah.
And then obviously we cut back and he whistles, but man, that's some blood for Superman. I mean,
Right.
that must be this must be something really freaking serious, right?
I mean, the only things that have made him bleed are like Dark Side and Doomsday. I don't
I
think even
mean,
Lobo made him bleed really. So I
that's
mean,
what I
we
mean. Like
yeah,
this has to be serious. This has to be serious.
and he has to be
And
completely
showing it in the
irradiated.
trailer,
Yeah,
I
he has to
just
be completely irradiated with some form of kryptonite to
right.
to allow his skin to be that permeable. But
And of course we get the he whistles. Of course we get the scene with the making tracks. Of course, who is it? Obviously, it's Crypto. Um, and this was kind of a mid-shoot addition. This was not originally in the script. This was James Gunn, his family adopted a pet, adopted a dog that was, needed a home. And so he adapted the script based off of his discovering love of this real life dog that his family adopted. And so he wanted to include Crypto in the script. I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. I don't know if that's great for a first movie. Um, I guess we'll see. I'm not by no means saying, I hate the dog, something like that. It's just, um, usually those are things that are reserved for maybe your second or your third movie, right? So I don't know how much, this will play, but
yeah,
obviously he felt strong enough about it to include the dog in the first movie.
I mean, people love dogs,
Of
right?
course.
So many people love dogs, and so if they're going to shoehorn in a hopeful theme, it's easier to do. And the guys, if hey, look, there's a dog.
Yeah, that's
The
true.
dog likes him and doesn't
That's
like
true.
that one, so he's the good guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can shoehorn that in, right? I don't care what Crypto looks like. I don't. Yeah, yes,
I don't I don't need I
he's
don't either.
supposed to be a golden retriever,
Whatever.
whatever,
I don't
but
care.
he's been changed so many times already. It doesn't matter. I thought, in my opinion, when I first saw this, this was my favorite part of the trailer. I mean, I don't like the circumstances around it, but seeing Crypto, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But my daughter loves the superhero pets cartoon that came out with
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Dwayne
yeah.
Johnson and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And seeing Crypto is cool, right? But at the same time, I agree with you. It's not right for the first movie to throw the dog in.
I just don't it's just not what I would expect and almost in a way uh, I mean, where do you go from there?
Yeah,
I would rather get there later,
yeah.
but obviously, and this again is in the trailer, so
And
you
if the
know,
dog's there, where's Kara? I mean,
yeah, yeah, it's true. I mean, it starts to, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll just have to see. It is
yeah.
what it is. I didn't
And,
expect it. I did read where he put out the screenshot on X or whatever and had him, sitting by Crypto, although I think it was maybe a little bit different
yeah.
depiction of the dog at that time because of his experience adopting this dog with the family and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. You're right though. And if you want to bring people in, you want to make them sentimental, you bring a dog in, maybe put them in danger.
That's right.
I get it. There's a lot of things you can go with that. lot of
Yep.
ways you can go with that. So
You can't kill a dog on screen, but you can kill a person, and it's easy to kill a person.
right,
But the dog's more important to
right.
modern day society. And
That's
you ask
true.
my daughter, and she freaks out over the same stuff. You kill a
Yeah,
person, you kill a person, she's like whatever. But you kill a dog, she's
right.
like, oh no,
Yeah, that's
So
true. I mean, basically, we the next sequence we get just to show is that, Crypto grabs the cape and he's like home, and then he basically just takes off with him, and takes him back to
this is probably the best scene in the whole trailer.
yeah. I'm still curious, like what all are we gonna be getting in this movie, and really also. This is a very nonchalant step for this girl, considering what's going on behind her. I don't know about you, but with all that going on behind me, I'd
Yeah.
probably be a little more worried than one two buckle my shoe. I don't know. Am I wrong about that? What
Okay,
is
so
happening here?
I mean,
Is she deaf? Is she deaf?
okay, so explosions happen faster than you think.
Oh, come on.
Light travels faster than sound. So
I get it. I
they're
do.
they're trying to show the speed at which his reaction and
Right.
response time, right?
Right. And
Whatever.
we can play it. Look, I mean, I'll it's only a couple seconds. I'll
Yeah,
back
I
it
mean,
up. I'll back it up. There
I
he
mean,
goes.
it's
So we
whatever.
get, yeah, we get that. I do get it though. You are right. It is showing, how quickly, right? That he can be there. And if you are thinking about that, yes, then that does make sense. Where yes, an explosion would happen quickly, you wouldn't have time to react, right? You just literally be in mid step or
Yeah,
whatever, and next thing this guy
you're
is
on the ground.
shielding you, and
Yeah.
yeah. So I get it. I get it.
And this is, like I said, the best part of the trailer because it shows him saving someone,
Yes,
and we needed more of that.
yes, I agree. We do get our Lex Luthor, who instead of Lex Corp, we get uh
Luther Core.
Luthor Corp, which
Yeah.
I don't.
Now,
Why even change it? What's the
no,
point?
it's not changing it. It was
Well,
it was Luther Corp before it was Lex Corp. So chronologically, this is correct,
okay,
right? And then you have Nicholas Holt showing himself off as Lex Luthor,
right.
and he's there, and it's not bad. It's we don't know anything yet.
No.
So does he look the part? Okay, he's bald. Okay,
Yeah.
great. I mean, does he look like Michael Rosenbaum?
That's so great.
Kind of. I mean, okay, he's Lex Luthor. We don't know anything. He hasn't even spoken yet.
Right.
So we know nothing. And can Nicholas Holt act? Yes, he can act. So can he play Luthor better than Jesse Eisenberg?
Oh, well, yeah, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, we do get a little bit of maybe, I'm guessing, I don't know what this conflict is or where this happens. It looks like, Middle Eastern. It also, they have a flag with the Superman symbol on it. So don't know if these are people who have already come to know him, and then, they raise the flag. We really don't know. We don't really know anything about this. I don't know what you can
Okay,
take
yeah,
from
yeah,
this.
we don't have context for it because
Yeah,
I'm
no
like,
context.
how do anybody in this world know who he is
Right,
already? They know his symbol. They're going to say he's going to come save us. He's our God. Whatever they're saying or thinking, he's praying to Superman.
right.
This child is praying to Superman. How did this come about? I don't understand, and that's going to be extremely important. Now
Yes,
that
it is.
now this next scene does bug the shit out of me.
Yeah, what do you feel about this? Obviously, you have the guy here that chucks a freaking can of peas or whatever the hell it is
Whatever,
at
it
his
doesn't matter.
head, bounces off.
So you have people protesting Superman. So
Right,
you have this person, this child in a foreign country praying to Superman like a god.
right.
And then you have these people throwing shit at him. So Superman's been around a while then,
Right.
right? I mean, if he's not been around a while, none of this shit would happen.
Right.
And then this mob wouldn't be developing. And also, if he was around for a while, then he would be Superman. He'd be known as somebody who's rescuing and helping people and saving people. And so, again, this mob wouldn't be this way. And then he gets hit with this can and
Yeah.
he flinches.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'll see if I can. Here, let me play it.
And people are arguing whether it's
So
a
he
flinch.
flinches his eyes. If we go back just a bit, you can watch it here.
People are arguing whether this is a flinch or not. It's a fucking
He
flinch.
yeah, he blinks his eyes. Now, if this is the actor, and if you get hit with something, you can't help but blink your eyes, and it's almost as if like if you were recording a sword fighting scene, Matthew,
Right.
and you're an actor, and they say, look, you can't blink your eyes. Well, when
Yeah.
somebody throws something or somebody swings at you, you
Yeah.
naturally, instinctively blink your fucking eyes. It is what
Yeah.
it is. And
Yep.
so I get that, but if it is the case, you don't leave it in the trailer. You
Right.
don't leave it in here because unless you are trying to show him either A, portraying emotions like a human, okay? Or that he actually is feeling like a human. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. And like I said, I can understand a justification for it. But to say he wasn't flinching is a joke because he flinched. And to say
I
that
know.
he's not reacting to it is a joke because he's clearly reacting to it. Now,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
that's a choice, that's okay. If it's not a choice, that's a problem.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I guess it's all in what is this portrayal, and or if this is in the trailer. Look, this is all very curated shit.
Right.
Let's not kid ourselves.
Exactly.
Okay, it's the same thing when they do video game trailers. They curate the trailer of what they want you to see, and they can
Yep.
edit out the parts that's choppy and
Yep.
got lag and all this stuff, right? And the ugly bits, and they can put what they want you to see. So this is the same thing. You're trying to portray something to people because you want them to see what you are wanting them to see.
That's right.
So this has to be, in my mind, a conscious choice. There's no way this can possibly be missed over. And like, oh
Right.
crap, we got the wrong take. Is this in front of a green screen? Is this in the volume? Is this actually on set and somebody literally threw a can and hit dude in the head? I don't know. We don't know. This could, all of the background could be completely fake. You don't know that.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
literally don't know that. So I don't know. It'll come down to what James Gunn's trying to portray
Yeah.
with him as a person,
Yep.
whatever. And so we'll see. Is there valid criticism for that? Yes, because like the guy, you can shoot him in the eye with a bullet. He's not
And
gonna
he's
be
not going to
phased.
flinch. He's not even going to freaking blink because the bullet
Right,
disintegrated on his
right,
eyeball. I mean,
right.
come on.
So yes, a can of peas or whatever the hell it is on the back of his head as he walk into a courtroom or he's walking down the sidewalk or whatever the hell this is supposed to be.
Well, but
Yeah,
the other thing with this is it is reminiscent of BVS or Man of Steel or whatever, BVS because he
it's a
goes
court. This looks
into
like a courtroom.
right. Superman's walking into a courtroom.
Yeah.
So he's being judged by humans for something.
Uh-huh.
And to allow himself to be brought to this place,
Right.
there's two factors involved with that. Yes, he's complying with the law and holding himself back.
I
But
mean,
at this, I mean, there's a lot to this whole idea of a court case, which means that he's been around long enough for people to build a case against him. So this isn't a new story
but also
for the
this
world.
yes, but this also might not be a courtroom because we see the Stag Industries in the very next shot. But he's looking over something here. This doesn't look like a courtroom. There's no,
Okay.
police, bailiff, there's no deputies, there's no judges. We also have a monument here of some kind. There's a monument of some kind in this room. He's looking over a screen, and if you literally go to the next shot, you'll get where
Yeah.
there he is, the Stag Industries.
Yeah.
So he's looking down, and this is the same shot in the same building because he has that artwork, the big thing hanging up on the top. Okay, whatever
Yeah.
that is. You could call it fossils. I don't give a shit. It's artwork, but it's
Yeah.
in the previous shot. And he walks into that building. He gets let in, and so we have to figure out what does Stag Industries have to do with this. What is the relationship? Why is he getting yelled at walking in? And then we get Guy Gardner, Nathan Fillion's character, coming in, and this again is in the same building. This is in the same building. This is like the same shot. There's the monument. There's what he's leaning over. So who knows what the heck is going on here?
Yeah. So yeah, let's get forward a little bit to see Nathan and Hot Girl there.
All right,
Um,
let's see
uh,
here.
this is, you know, I mean, this is all CGI here, so
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't really see much
100%.
there. People are bashing the costume. I don't give a shit. Um,
Whatever, man.
it, it's great. It's fine. It's shit. It's whatever you want it to be because Hot Girl is Hot Girl, and
yeah.
which version of Hot Girl is she going to be? And it's all CGI, and her costume looks like a CW costume. It is what it is. Um, you know, we can see how that goes, and I'll wait till Pop gets back because we can maybe cut this out. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, sorry, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Uniform wise, I'm not too worried about it. I'm not. This is fine. We'll see. We'll just have to see. Then we get our kaiju, so to speak,
Well,
whatever this
I mean,
is.
Nathan Fillion as
Well,
Guy Gardner.
well, we kind of got this shot here. I don't know what
Okay.
else I can give you. I mean, this is
There's a full facial shot of him with the bowl cut,
uh,
and I
it,
don't know,
it may be
maybe
after
after the kaiju.
this.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to see if it is. I mean, it may very well
Yeah,
be. Let me see here real quick.
he was in the
Yeah,
scene somewhere.
yeah, it doesn't come before that,
Okay.
so let me scrub through real quick and I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah,
I
but I
know there's
mean,
a couple other people in it. I mean, regardless, you
people are
know,
bashing on the haircut, and the
I don't,
haircut
whatever,
is the
man,
haircut
whatever.
is comic
Shit.
book accurate. It's comic book accurate, and it looks like garbage, and it's supposed to look like garbage because it's freaking
There.
there. It is.
Yeah, hang
Yeah,
on, I'll back it up. It's right here.
it's freaking Guy Gardner.
I mean,
Um,
whatever. Who gives a shit? I don't even so stupid. So stupid. Look, I understand, I guess, but I'm not familiar with this character
okay,
enough to be
okay.
like, well, this is really stupid. I don't know personally. Do I
I
think it's a
have not.
stupid haircut? Yeah, I think it's a
Yes,
dumbass haircut. Yes.
it's always been a dumbass haircut,
It's
but
terrible.
the character of Guy Gardner is my least favorite Green Lantern of all time. Right. I mean,
Right.
as a character, as a comic book, I haven't seen anything that made him look good. He's an arrogant dickhead. And
Okay.
now and he's like a young jock football player, right? And now he's being played by Nathan Fillion, who is 50 something years
Yeah, he's
old.
not a young guy. Yeah, he's
And where are you
older.
going to go with Guy Gardner in this universe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Hal Jordan is Green Lantern
Of
on Earth,
course.
right? And
Yeah.
John Stewart is Green Lantern on Earth, right?
Right.
Those are the two best Green Lanterns that have ever come out of the Corps, period, at all, end of story. Kyle Rayner, he's okay, but Guy Gardner is like the last choice,
And
right?
maybe there's a reason why.
Because Nathan Fillion is funny, he's sarcastic, and he works good with other actors in an ensemble piece to
Okay.
create a quirky, fun adventure Justice League type of
Right.
environment, right? So he can participate in that. But honestly, Nathan Fillion played a better Hal Jordan than any Hal Jordan we've ever seen on screen
Right.
in the animated stuff, right? So he's already been a Green Lantern. Now he's being a different Green Lantern. And James Gunn is using him to build his quirky, sarcastic universe of characters.
And that's what I mean. Like until we see or till we know what his role is in all this,
Yeah,
and I mean again, it's it's James Gunn. It's like he may very well have his own. He has his own thing about it. I'm trying to dig up. Damn, what? There we go. Don't know what's going on here. We can only
yeah.
speculate. We'll see. I mean, who knows? And just looking at the
What
trailer, it's like, okay, it
what
looks
it looks like is Guy
fine.
Gardner and whoever else is involved, who's not Superman in the Justice League, that's not the Justice League, is going to come in and admonish Superman for being a bully or being a whatever, and try to reshape him to make him better. And that's that's not how the Justice League was formed, by the way.
Yeah,
Just saying. If they
I,
go
I, I
that
don't,
route, it's going to be disappointing, and it
I
kind
don't
of
know,
seems like
man.
that's the route that they're going to go.
Right. I just don't know. I'm curious. I mean, this thing right here and how this all fits in. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then let's see, we get this scene here with whatever's in the background. Who knows what that is? We
They,
can't. We
this
again, we can only
also
speculate.
kind of pisses me off.
But it's obvious that he's still in his uniform, and
Yeah.
this is Lois having a conversation. We don't know if this is her knowing who he is. We don't know that either.
Yeah.
We've just not been given any information. Then this is obviously Clark and Lois having a kiss. We still don't have any context. Like we just don't.
We're missing a lot of context, but
Yeah,
to
man.
have Superman be there with Lois and a cataclysmic event is happening
Right.
outside their window and they're focused on each other before he goes out and does anything, kind of diminishes this whole character of Superman in my mind.
I understand where you're coming from. I do. It's and but at the same time, we don't even really know what that is.
We don't know what the
We
context
don't we
is.
don't know if it is something that's like destroying the Metropolis. We don't know if it's something
Yeah.
that is harmful. It could be a hologram. It could be a parade. It could be you know what I'm saying? Like we don't know
Right.
that. Does that make sense?
Correct. Yeah,
So we
absolutely.
really don't know, and we've been given no information whatsoever what that even is. It doesn't
Yep.
look like the kaiju or whatever people are calling it that we saw earlier.
Right.
So who knows, right? It just looks like a giant eyeball, a holographic eyeball of some kind.
Yep.
And then we get obviously this place, right? The
Yeah.
fort, the Fortress of Solitude looks like at least crystals coming out. I mean, that would be my guess. Is the beginning of the Fortress of Solitude,
Yep.
which is where Crypto is running his ass back to.
Right.
We get kind of a close up, obviously, of this person right here. Now, I did not know who this was. I'm not familiar with this person. You could enlighten me. I don't know who this is in the comics or whatever. But
Now,
here is here.
who have you heard that he is?
Well, I've heard. I can't even remember. I've heard a
Okay.
couple names. It's not anybody in my mind that I would have thought of.
Yeah. Um. You know,
I mean, I have no clue. I can't think of anybody. It's like,
somebody mentioned who he was, and if I heard the name, I'd remember
and it's
more. But
fine. Yeah, it's fine if you don't. I don't remember, and I can't remember seeing anybody in the comics. There's people that are like, oh, that's so and so, and
yeah.
I saw it brought up, and kind of a side by side or whatever. But I don't know enough about the deep cuts of Superman,
Did
honestly.
did they say metamorpho? Did they say
I think maybe so.
maybe?
Yes,
Okay.
that actually, I think that was the name.
Okay. Um.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, okay, whatever. I I don't care.
I don't know. I have no idea.
You're
It's
you're
just a
you're
close up of somebody.
you're throwing another element into the mix that
Yes.
that is just going to muddy the waters,
Yeah,
right?
another element we get obviously a shot of
We
Lex
know who
here.
Lex Luthor is.
Right. And
Most people
he's
don't know
cut
who
up.
Metamorpho is.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's my point. Like I'm like, who is this guy? We
Right.
do see Crypto bringing him back, and then there's somebody here. I don't know who. I can get the slow shot. It's because it's the person who is this, I guess, right, that guy right here, whoever that, who is this guy? Do you know who
That
this
guy,
guy is? Yeah, who
Mr.
is that?
Terrific. Oh yeah, this is a great Mr. Terrific. He looks like he looks awesome as Mr. Terrific. A couple things are a little bit different, but I
Now, who is Mr. Terrific within the realm of Superman?
I mean he's just another
Just
Justice League
another.
member,
Okay, okay,
and
cool. I
and and
because
he's
I don't know him. I don't know him.
he's a technology guy,
Okay,
and they've taken his character in a lot of different ways, but I mean the way they depicted him there looks great. It
okay.
looks like Mr. Terrific.
Well,
So
all we got really, other than that, is him and
okay,
Lois.
so
Him, they're
okay, so
flying
she
up in
was
the air,
she
kissing,
was
and then we get
yeah
this shot right
she
here.
was kissing Clark earlier. Now she's
Now she's
hugging
kissing Superman. Well,
Superman.
she was kissing
Okay,
him too
oh
as
yeah,
they're flying up in the air,
yeah.
and
So
now
I
she's
mean,
hugging.
clearly they're giving that whole thing away. They're just saying, ah, she knows who he is, uh,
Right,
and to throw away that whole deceptions, reveal thing so early, I think is also a
right,
waste. There's a lot of potential there with stories to be told.
yeah.
And July 11th, um, I just have to say this trailer needed to be a home run, and it was a well, maybe.
It's
And so
fine.
it's exactly it's fine.
Right.
And it didn't wow anybody, and maybe we're too critical of it because there's a lot of people that love it, but I think there's a lot of other people out there. I heard even Punk talking about it, and he's like, meh, I don't know. I mean, it's whatever. We got to wait till this stuff comes out because we've
Yeah.
seen really good trailers that have turned out to be crap movies,
Yeah,
right?
I need to see more. I need to see another trailer. I need to get a little bit more context, a little more explanation of who people are, maybe some of the villains. I don't need to know their purpose,
Yeah,
but I need to know a little bit more before I can cast stones or before I can say, hell yeah, I'm all
right,
in, right?
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
and this movie didn't do enough to entice people to go
right,
see it.
right.
I don't
Yeah,
think. I mean, there's a small portion of people, and I will tell you. I mean, so many people will tell you that DC fans are more fanatical than Marvel fans,
right,
right? And now you have James Gunn crapping on the Snyderverse. The Snyderverse changed a lot of things in the DC universe, and the Snyder fans got an entire movie finally released that was never supposed to be released.
right,
And it is a superior cut of the film, in my opinion. Um, but at the same time, the Snyder people are fanatical and they're DC fans. So they're a subsect of DC fans. Now, DC fans are more passionate and fanatical than Marvel fans because the characters are that way. The characters are iconic, they are, pinnacle,
right,
they're aspirational, they are archetypes characters, right? Whereas Marvel characters have more humanity, more realism, more flaws, and can be picked apart, and you can pull them in whatever direction you want and say, okay, I can understand why this character would go this way or that way or this way or that
right,
way. But
right.
DC characters are so iconic that to take them away from who they are kind of destroys or shatters the entire illusion. And so they're going to be pretty adamant about their opinions about what's going on here. And from the most diehard people that I've seen, they've been meh about this trailer.
Yeah, I again, I need to see more. It's
Yep.
fine. I'm
Yep.
not, it's nothing where I'm just like, holy moly, I can't wait to see this movie. Do I want to see a good Superman movie? I guess I do, but I
Yeah.
can't necessarily tell you that I've been clamoring for one.
Right.
I just can't. Like I can't. I honestly say it's like, okay, yeah, I can. do for one. I'm more of a Batman fan, and yet at the same
Right.
time, I wasn't
Me
clamoring
too.
for the last Batman movie. It
Yep.
wasn't something where I was like, "Oh, I can't wait." Now the Christopher Nolan stuff, yeah, I was all about it. But yeah, it's interesting, and I don't know if just damage has been done. I don't know if the Snyderverse did not live up to what everybody wanted, and even I'm sure maybe what he wanted.
Right.
Um, it just DC is in a place right now, and James Gunn's trying to resurrect it, I guess, but I'm not sure yet, where that's going to
Yeah.
go. I know that,
If I mean,
it's,
it comes down to if this movie does not make $1.2 billion or more,
man,
the DC universe is sunk again.
right.
And it has to create those repeat viewings. It has
Yeah,
to bring people back to the theater to watch it again in the theater because they are so excited about it, because they are so hopeful about it, because it represents everything they want to see in superheroes.
right.
If this film does not do that, then superhero films are done.
At the very least,
Warner Brothers is probably done.
yeah, other than,
Hollywood may
like
be done.
Harry Potter, I just feel like I just don't know the legs that Superman has
Look,
right in
if
today's world.
if this
I
is
just
the
don't.
if this is the movie that they hope it is, then it will be 1978 Superman. It will be the next reinvigoration of the superhero genre. Hollywood has nothing else to rely on. From
Right.
insider sources, Hollywood has nothing else to rely on besides superhero genre because they have nothing else to go to because they're
Yeah.
waiting for the next big thing to latch themselves onto.
Right.
And unless they get something massive with this movie, it's going to shatter everything that they've built.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, again, it's going to need to make well over $1 billion,
Yep.
and that's just to rejuvenate because this is, you still have a full slate behind it of DC, right?
Yeah.
That James Gunn has planned for DC, and this is kind of the beginning of it. I know
Yep.
that Creature Commandos technically is the beginning of that, and it's been renewed for season two, even though it's gotten okay reviews. I don't think anybody's clamoring for Creature Commandos. It's not your Suicide Squad, that's for
No,
sure. And
it's
even
it's not.
that had a
I
hard
fell
time.
asleep in the second episode. I was.
Right. I mean, so I don't know what to make of that, but kicking it off with that as an animated feature. But Superman really is supposed to be kind of it's in July. It's gonna be here before you know it. That's the
Yeah.
crazy part, right? We're gonna turn
Yeah.
around. It's gonna be like, oh shit, it's coming out next week. And then from there, it's up to the rest of the slate to bring it up. So kicking off that whole thing, it's got to
Yep.
it's got to
It's got to do
capture
it.
the imagination of people.
It
And if
does.
it doesn't, man, it's going to be a real slog from there. I
Yep.
really think it's going to be tough sledding for James Gunn moving
Yep.
forward with DC.
Absolutely. Ultimately, I think this trailer needed to knock it out of the park. It needed to
Yeah,
be something that inspired and got everybody excited about it. And for me, the trailer was meh. There's too much we don't know, too much we need to wait and see. And from what I'm seeing, it's not exciting. It's not enticing me to want to go see it.
not. I agree. It's not there's nothing in it. Not only from the beginning and how it starts out, and then even to the end, even introducing other characters, right? And which I'm not even crazy about because this is a Superman film. We start
Right.
adding more people,
Yep.
right? But I agree with you. The trailer really doesn't get me motivated. Maybe we'll see down the line as they introduce trailer two, three,
Right.
four, and so on and we
Yep.
hear more about the film, the plot, and stuff like that, which we'll get. And like I said, July 11th is right around the corner. It really is. But yeah, I'm with you. It's
Yeah.
just nothing exciting for me. So we'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
how it goes.
We'll see.
Um, and it does have to make quite a bit of money, as you stated,
Yeah.
to really do something moving forward. This could be this could be one of those big disasters It
Could
truly
be.
could. As much
Yeah.
as James Gunn has had a good track record,
Hmm.
this really could be one of those monumental money disasters that, as you said, possibly closes a studio.
Yeah.
Really.
Is this just from his background? I know people are going to disagree with me on this, but his talents lie in other areas. And to make a film like this is a challenge for anyone. And when James Gunn is known for doing a specific thing, genre, the way he does it, it's going to be a real uphill battle for him to be successful here.
Right.
And so, if they don't knock it out of the park, it's done. And this trailer isn't doing it for me. I mean, I'll still see it, but I was going to see it anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I'm still going to see the movie. And here's the deal, too, because sometimes we talk about certain movies that are coming out, right? And we'll bring them up on this show. Some of them I'll go check out. Some of them you'll go check out. Some of them we'll both go check out. But then there's others that, we get a pretty good opinion from some of the people we follow to where you almost feel like, yeah, I don't know that I really do need to, right?
Right.
And also sometimes you maybe think about your audience and whatever, but and what they're interested in. But yes, this is one I'm going to see. I was planning
Right.
on going to see. So regardless of that and how if I get reviews from other people, I'll still want to see for myself
Mm-hmm.
what it's all about. It's just I like Superman. He's not my favorite, but
Yep.
I love comics. I love Superman, I love the genre. So,
And I think the movie will do well, but it needs to be over 1.2 billion well.
yeah, it's got to crush it. Yeah, like you said, yeah, it really needs to crush for this thing to reach
Yep.
all the audiences and even to the normie,
Yep.
quote unquote, right?
That's it.
And that's where it needs to reach to because once you hit that audience, it's like Deadpool Wolverine. I think
Yep.
those movies reached those audiences to people who had no clue who
Yep.
this guy was back years ago or even now to an extent, but they heard just how funny and how good it was, and
Yeah,
they
I
had to
mean,
go
so
see it.
many people went out and saw, Deadpool Wolverine who had no idea
Right.
about all of the Easter eggs or what they even meant. They just saw stuff in there. Oh, that's neat. What is, no, very few people understood the Channing Tatum reference, right?
I agree, and the ones that did, obviously, yes, in the know, but there probably were plenty of people who were probably like,
Yep.
okay, like, oh, that's Channing Tatum, but they didn't really know, right?
Right.
But
Yep.
that's okay because it still worked and it was still
Yep.
entertaining. It's not the best
Exactly.
movie, it wasn't the best movie, right?
Right.
But at the same token, it was very entertaining and it was made with a lot of love, you can tell.
Yep.
But obviously we're not talking about that, but yeah, so moving on, I did want to bring up. I thought this was interesting, and I'd kind of mentioned about Creature Commandos and getting renewed for season two, and I thought that was interesting because you know I've heard a lot about it. I have not delved into the Creature Commandos. Now, uh, you personally, are you super familiar with this team or at least with this concept?
Yeah.
I
I
was
mean,
not collecting comics, I think, when Creature Commandos kind of came out and was a thing.
I wasn't real big into it. I know of it. I know about it. But ultimately, it's one of those James Gunn specialities. The quirky, irreverent, sarcastic, dark side humor, team up ensemble piece
Right.
that has got those comedic elements and a heart of gold or whatever you want to call it. The bad guys with the heart of gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
How
this is the movies that this is what he does well, and I felt that it was very boring. I mean, the second episode I fell asleep in.
really?
Yeah.
Well, and as much as you work, it's got to be something to really catch your attention. Otherwise, I could see where you might feel the need to catch a nap. Um, but yeah, I do want to watch it. I have heard and watched reviews. I do know spoilers and such.
Right.
But I do want to watch it because number one, I'm not gonna lie, I love animation.
Yeah.
I really do. I love the DC animation in particular.
Yep.
Most of it, most all of it, really. Even some of the ones that aren't as good, I still enjoy the animation and the style that they've done.
Yeah.
But so I still want to watch it. It did get renewed for season
Hmm.
2, and I'm a little curious about that because I don't really know what the numbers are, and we never really truly
Right.
know what the
Yeah.
numbers really are with streaming. It's kind of a mystery. But yeah, evidently, yeah, it's been renewed for a season 2, and it says earned wide acclaim following its December 5th premiere. In Allison Herman's Variety review, said the series is as playful and irreverent as most load-bearing franchise entrants are ponderous and weighted down by obligations to a larger narrative. I guess my thing is this just kind of like Suicide Squad B Team?
Yes,
Does that make
exactly.
sense?
It
Right?
pretty much is. It's the same thing. It's Suicide Squad Redux, right?
Right.
So you're taking all of the meta mutants or whatever you want to call them, the ones that have animalistic qualities to their body alterations that they've gone through, and throw them together on a team with bombs in their heads that are going to do good by Waller or die, right? I mean, so it's
Right.
it's the same thing.
Yeah, it just seems to me, I mean, that it's and even this quote here, this you literally could take this quote and put it to the Suicide Squad because
Hmm.
it's not an all human squad for once. For
Right.
one, it says only James Gunn could have conjured this wild band of misfit monsters who tug at your heart and force you to root passionately for them. Well, that's the Suicide Squad.
Right. Well, isn't that exactly what I just said? James Gunn, that's
Yes.
what he does well. That's all he does.
Yes, it is. It totally is, right? So yeah, I thought it was interesting considering that for
Yeah.
most of what I heard, it's not it's not blowing doors off.
People
Um
seem to like it. Enough people seem to like it. And, not everybody gets into the animation, and that's a whole nother battle to fight, hill to climb,
that's true.
and so that's a blocking measure from a lot of the normie audience.
And I think
Right.
animation, the only thing with for me, and you almost kind of saw it with the Marvel the What If series,
Mm.
is that animation, it takes a while, man.
Hmm.
I mean, it takes a while.
Yep.
And even outsourcing obviously and everything, and so whatever momentum that something could get sometimes is hindered, and we see it with shows obviously as well, House
Hmm.
of the Dragon even to an extent, and others. uh, that momentum that you build up, um you kind of lose it.
Yep.
And Creature Commandos, if people kind of forget about it, maybe it's nice that it comes back. If it's stronger, they get a little
Yeah.
bit better at it, season 2. But I'm not sure. I am going to watch it though because I do love animation and I do like
Yeah.
DC. So
Yeah. I mean, it's probably worth checking out. A lot of people seem to enjoy it. I just found it to be the same old that I've seen. And this TV model is going to hurt the animation even more because the way they're doing things now, it takes 3 years to get season
right,
two back into production. Because you shut everything down, and it stems from the binge model. Because if you had the weekly model, you'd see this momentum building, and as the momentum builds, then you get renewed, and at that moment you start the next season, right? Because you're still filming the last half of that season, and so
right,
you can roll right into it, take a 6-week break or whatever, and then roll
right,
back into the next production cycle. And now with this new model, you finish it, film it, and then 6 months later it comes out, whether weekly or whatever, and then several weeks, a month after that, then they tell you if you get another season, and then you've got to bring everybody back. So it's almost a year later that you can even
right,
start production,
right. I
and so
guess
it takes forever.
an interesting, I guess, question for you, to me, is that so the normal for decades long television cycle that we had, even for animation, right? Was yearly. You had your sweeps season, right, as well for shows trying to win awards and whatever. But it was kind of a yearly cycle. So even for animated products, they followed that seasonal cycle, right?
Right.
Now, do you think that the quality of animation now is much better and it takes longer? And or because if you think about it, just positing this out there, an 8 episode season of a streaming show compared to, let's say, something like an Archer that has, I don't know, 16 to 24 episodes. I'm not
Mm.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, is it the animation that requires it to take 2 years to get another season back out? Is it the model and the streaming model that's damaged that? I mean, what do you think overall, especially with animation in particular, with a
I,
seasonal aspect?
I think it's the model.
Okay.
Animation does take a long time, but once you get your templates in place, it's easier. Not to say it's easy, but it's a little easier once you have a flow to how things go, and you already have your templates, your backdrops, your character models, all that stuff. And so, from that aspect, continuing to produce seasons of an animated show still takes time to ramp up. It still takes time to
Right.
do it, and a lot of, and all that. But the way the model is set up right now, you can't even. I mean, your production's been shut down for 6, 9 months, a year, maybe before you get the green
Yeah.
light to go forward to begin production on the next season. And if it's 9 months or greater out, you know that means that it will be another 9 months or so, a year before you can get a product out. So you're talking at least 2 years
Yeah.
before something else can be seen for that product.
So these things aren't getting signed up for like they used to. Let's
Right.
say if you saw the pilot episode of Night Court, or let's just say
Right.
Archer, just South Park, whatever,
Yeah.
to take a real, live action show or an animated show. And
Right.
let's say you see the pilot, the network says really like this, we're going to green light 20 episodes,
Yep.
right? Or whatever. And then throughout somewhere in there, they go, you know what? We're going to sign this up for 3 seasons, 4 seasons.
Right.
Things are seeming to get one season at a time. Is that also part of it? I think is that it's a one season kind of thing at a time.
Well,
Some shows get multiple, but without
yeah.
being able to plan out, let's say, a multi-season arc and just hammer out that animation, you're in limbo for several months trying to figure out after you've finished production.
What I think it also happens on occasion, not every time, but I don't know if the studios tell the people making it this or not, but sometimes they're like, we're taking such a risk on this. You're getting 2 seasons no matter what happens.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And then sometimes they're like, okay, we promised you that second season, but nah, it ain't
Yeah,
happening.
we've seen a lot of stuff get canceled after one season. A lot of
Right.
shows.
And for the most part, with the streaming era, the only way to keep up with production is to say that there are 2 seasons, so that they continue production, so that there's not a big stopgap. And
Right.
then if the first season does well, then maybe they tack on another 2 more seasons after that, so you're going to get 4 seasons. You look at Star Trek Discovery. Terrible show, blasphemy of Star Trek all around. And in fact, they just decanonized it. Right? They just said,
Thank God.
this is not really real anymore.
Oh,
But
wow.
that show started, and they had put so much money into it that they couldn't afford to let it die. So
Sure.
they kept forking money at it, burning money, and trying to get 4 seasons or whatever they got out of it. I don't even know. I saw the first season and I said, man, I don't need any more of
Oh,
this.
I have no doubt you were out at that point. And I've kept up through, other people, whether that's
Yeah,
Red Letter, whether that's Gary, right,
yeah.
or anybody else. Mahler, maybe not the biggest person on that. But yeah, no, I've still kept up with it on the fringes. And so I could fully understand why you would be out after
Well,
one
and
to see you.
CBS All Access, and now Paramount.
Right.
CBS All Access hung their hat on Star Trek Discovery, and they needed to do whatever they could to try and make that a success. And so they forked over all the money they had, and it shut down CBS All Access, and it rolled them into Paramount. And then Paramount kept it going because they're like, oh, this is going to be our flagship brand. It's Star Trek, right? But they just stepped in it, you
You've
know.
got to take care of your flagship brand. You have to make your flagship brand like top of the top, the best writers, right? Which
Yep.
they've been unable to get,
Yeah.
best producers, best directors. And when you don't treat it as such, then you can only imagine what the rest of your shows are treated as.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
there
and
are
then
other things on that particular platform. There are other things that
yeah.
are being
Oh yeah, yeah.
treated
For
great.
sure. Yeah, and they're holding it up for sure.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you look at that Star Trek, that Klutzman Star Trek whole debacle there, the Jar Jar Abrams to Alex
Oh,
Klutzman Star Trek.
I love that.
And what happened is they gave up. They said, "Okay, we're done with this." And they had already greenlit season 3 of Picard, but they realized that one was burning and nobody was watching. So they kicked it over to this guy Terry Matalas, and Terry Matalas loved Star Trek and took it and ran with it and made a love letter to the end of Star Trek Next Generation.
It
And
was
everybody
great.
loved season 3.
It was great. The
So
only one I've watched. The only
and the only
one.
one you need to watch
Right.
because it is isolated. It does make some reference to the first 2 seasons, but you don't really need to know all that stuff. And it's probably better you don't know
Yes. Yes.
all that stuff because season 3 is so isolated and good on its own that you could have, Star Trek The Next Generation, all of the TV show episodes, and then you could tack this on at the end, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
don't,
could see that.
you can put in the movies if you want, whatever, but the movies are different characters. Picard is a different character in the movie than he is on the TV show, than he is in the TV show Picard.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, Star Trek tangent.
Well, but that's okay. I mean, bottom line is, I guess my point was overall, starting out, and I actually love the tangents personally because that's the kind of person I am. Is that the model,
Yeah.
really the model, and when it even came, when we were talking about animation, is that I just wonder, just the different factors and the way studios now go about, green lighting projects, and again, you lose so much momentum,
Yep.
even if you have a good show,
Yep.
and
Well,
even
that goes back to the Tick on
oh
Amazon.
yeah, right.
So Amazon Prime did a TV show called The Tick, and they produced a bunch of episodes, and they split the season. So they split half of it here, and then a few months later, half of it there, and it was amazing because everything that's been produced by Ben in the Tick universe has been awesome, and this show is no different. And then nobody watched it because nobody knew it existed. Nobody knew that the second half even came back. They're like, "What? There's more?" And months or years later, they find out, oh, there was more to that, right? So
Right.
this was another thing for that binge model failure and the TV show network failures as they are right now.
I think you sometimes also they can push something too quickly, like Arcane season 2,
Right.
and push it out the door to get it out to capitalize on the popularity of a product that many people probably were not that familiar with but became successful,
Yep.
and then to capitalize on it. But from some of the scenes I've watched and some of the things I have watched, some of the creators I've watched,
So,
it seems a little rushed. Seems rushed. The animation seems rushed. Some of just overall
but
writing.
but when did season 1 of Arcane that everybody loved? When did that come out?
2021.
2021.
Right? Here we
It's
are, 3
2024.
freaking years. And so I guess really, I say rushed out. It's interesting because I guess realistically, not rushed out, but that seemed like a lot of the comments I was hearing,
Yeah.
that it just seemed, and maybe it wasn't rushed, but that it just was a bad job with animation, and then obviously the writing has brought it really way down. Because I enjoyed the first season, I thought it was
Or
fantastic.
because of the model, by the time they got notification and could
Right?
start production of a season
Yeah.
2, they had to rush it through production to get it
Right.
out there. And on our end, it's been 3 years, so we've forgotten about Arcane,
That's true.
right? As so many people just didn't even care. I didn't even know it was coming out
I
until
didn't
everybody
either.
started talking about it.
I had
And
no idea.
and I really liked the first season, and I didn't know that there was going to be more.
Yeah.
I had not heard anything anywhere about it
Yeah.
continuing.
It,
So
it's
it's a big failure on a lot of levels.
I agree. And it's interesting. And for anybody that hasn't seen Arcane season 1, I encourage you at the very least, go back and just watch it. Self-contained. Just go watch Arcane. It is a Netflix show. Go back and
Yeah.
watch it. It's really good. It does have two, female leads, really. One's a protagonist, one's an antagonist ultimately. But it's good. It actually is
Yeah,
very good.
it
And
is.
the person that plays Jinx is actually the star of the Fallout TV show. If you
Hmm.
enjoyed that, Ella Purnell, she's a star of it, and then Haley Steinfeld is actually plays V as the other sister, and of course you may know her from a certain Marvel Marvel show. I'll let you figure it out. It might have included Hawkeye, possibly. But anyway, included him, by the way. But anyway, so yeah, just I don't mind the tangents, Matthew. To be honest with you, I really don't. I'm good with it, man. Because I mean, we get to talking and just kind of laying it out there, and that's how it is. I
It's the way
enjoy it.
my brain works, man.
You and me both,
I
buddy.
see something that connects, and I'm like, it's just like this over here.
Yep.
I'm always making those kind of connections, analogies, whatever. It's how I
Yeah.
learn and stuff.
So I did want to bring something else up. This is kind of speaking of tangents. I don't know that this flows with our last conversation, but I thought this was interesting because a lot of people like Denzel Washington. A lot of people enjoy his work. I do too. I think he's a super cool dude. He seems like it. I don't know him, obviously. But it says Denzel Washington becomes a minister after saying actors can't talk about religion in Hollywood. He's 69 years old. Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew it was coming up on that.
69.
Yep, yep. My wife watched the Preacher's Wife
Jesus.
last night.
And that makes me feel old, right? It says he was baptized and received his minister's license in New York City's historic Kelly Temple. Said, let's see here. We celebrate the addition of Minister Denzel Washington into the clergy. He received his license. Um, and then scrolling down, I kind of wanted to get to really the part. You can see the pictures there.
Yeah,
Well, you could have seen the
you
pictures there
could.
until we get some stupid ad. So there's the pictures there, which I do find fascinating that someone, as himself. I mean, at 69, as we get older, there are things we'd like to do, places we'd like to see, maybe, bucket list stuff. Maybe this is something, near and dear to his heart that he, really wanted to do.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and
As long as he's not going to go all Jesse Jackson on us, I think we're all right.
Well, and I think, look, right, because we can talk about actors who jump up on a soapbox and they tell you you don't need to use a gas car and,
Hmm.
whatever. And then
But
they're
they're
flying
flying
around
their
in
jets and
jets.
yeah.
But at the same time, we also don't want somebody to all of a sudden flip the script on you and
Yep.
start preaching to you, which we say it both ways, right? Preaching to you
Yeah.
like the Oscars or whatever, preaching
Well,
to
I
you
mean,
this way as well.
you look at somebody like Chris Pratt. I mean, he is no bones about his faith, and he's out there upfront with it, and he's making movies and making money as an actor, and he may not talk about it, but people know,
Yes,
right? Because he's going to be honest. He's not going to let stop them from learning about it if they want to know. And so on that aspect, I'm like, okay, there is some of that that people can kind of talk about it, but
sure.
I also know that you get blacklisted or blackballed because it's like, oh, that guy's a religious freak. We don't want him.
Yeah, and right here, I mean, this kind of, just to read this, says the actor explained his experience connected him with his religion more than ever before, while no longer having the fear of having to hide this aspect of himself. So he already was, but he's saying that he had to hide it. He says, "When you see me, you see the best that I could do with what I've been given by my Lord and Savior." He said, "I'm unafraid. I don't care what anybody thinks." Talking about the fear part of it, you can't talk like that and win Oscars. You can't talk like that and party. You can't say that in this town. And it says to Washington, religion is not talked about in Hollywood because it's not fashionable,
Mm-hmm.
not sexy. He
Mm-hmm.
added that, however, that doesn't mean people in Hollywood don't believe. It's
Right.
just you don't hear from them.
Right.
That's really the truth of the matter
Yep.
when it comes down to it, right?
Well, and it's not a shocker to me on any level to know that he is a person of faith and
No.
that this is the path that he chose because you look at the movies that he's chosen to be a part of and the way he portrays himself on camera, off camera. you can see these elements
Yeah.
in his walk, right? As you might say. um and so it's not a surprise, and I can only imagine how amazing his sermons would be.
Oh my gosh. Hey, that's I think that is let's see. Sorry, man, my sister's texting me and I'm trying to tell her about dinner tonight. For those of you having Christmas Eve dinner, we are having Christmas Eve dinner, some ham and all the fixings, which I'm excited about because I love me some ham. And so I apologize, but I said I just wanted to let her know that she needs to come on up. She lives about 50 minutes away, and
Okay.
she's in the country. Got some horses,
Whew,
9.5 acres of land. Got a barn, tractor, the whole
nice.
9 yards. Man, does it all by herself,
Wow.
all by herself.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's truly amazing. Very strong woman indeed. But yeah, so I just, I agree with you. I think his sermons probably would be fascinating. I think they'd be
Yeah,
fantastic, and it'd be something I wouldn't mind attending, to be honest with you. By all
exactly.
means, I wouldn't
Right.
mind at all. But I thought it was an interesting story, and every now and then you will hear of an actor or somebody that is like, "Hey, look, I'm not afraid anymore." I mean, it took him a long time, maybe to get to the point where he brought it up. Now, I've
Yep.
never known that about him. I've never read articles or heard him really discuss it, but I've also never paid that close attention to his career,
Yep.
other than the movies, right? And so yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I always like to hear that. There's so many more. There's many conservative people in Hollywood that you don't hear about because they're scared to speak up. I think
Yep.
that's going to change in a very big way, a
Well,
very big
I
way.
mean, you look at the ones that have been outspoken and how they've been blacklisted and have to go to a lot smaller projects
Yes.
or independent things or whatever. Every now and then they'll get snuck in somewhere, and then it causes a controversy again, and people get upset that that person was cast on XYZ movie,
Right.
and it's silly because these are good actors, they're comedians, whatever. Just let them do their thing. People like them.
That's it. The bottom line, and we've said this time and time again, you know, we just want you to act
Hmm.
and entertain people, right?
Yeah. Dance
Sports
monkey.
stars. Yeah, I mean, look, dude, sports, athletes, right? It's this is what you get paid for, you
Yeah.
know, do it to the best of your ability.
Yep.
And nobody's asking you to, I say play hurt, but you understand what I mean.
Right.
Just, best you can, your best ability. But that's what we want you to do. We don't need to hear about what you think about, everything. But I
Right.
think that religion in particular has been so pushed down in
Hmm.
popular culture and society that it is a news story when somebody comes out and says, "Yeah, I actually do believe in Jesus Christ." Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, holy crap, no, it's that's yeah, it's like, yeah, okay, that's pretty normal. That's
Yeah.
pretty normal.
Yeah.
um
And people's private lives need to be private lives, right? I mean, we don't need to
Absolutely,
know
man.
everything about everyone, you
No.
know. And that's the thing is that we need to have that separation between uh, people's comfort levels of what they're willing to share and stuff sometimes, because
Yes.
we don't need to know everything.
No, we don't, and I think that's where a lot of people started to get disenfranchised with celebrity
Yeah.
because you began to hear, every person had to proclaim their pronouns, their
Yeah.
sexuality, their what they do behind closed doors, right?
They had to show off their latest purse puppy.
Yes, absolutely.
Whatever it
Whatever it
is.
may be, right?
Yeah.
And yes, and so okay, fine. In the beginning, wow, gives you an insight into this person. Oh, wow, didn't know that about them. Didn't know this actress was bisexual, or I didn't know. And then you started to realize that it was a grift
Hmm.
to get cast in parts to stay working,
Yep.
right? It
Yep.
became a grift. And so yeah, I do firmly believe we're going to see that start to really flip. We've seen the mainstream media, the New York Times put out an article recently, about wokeism in Hollywood, and I know that term's been you know, run to death, right? But we all
Hmm.
know pretty much what it encompasses.
Yep.
And when you start seeing magazines turn the corners on this stuff, when for years
Yep.
that's all they did was tell us what idiots we were and
Yep.
istophobes we were for thinking we didn't want this stuff in our comics and our movies and TV and our toys and whatever it is. We're the bad people for just wanting it to stick to fun, entertainment, lore, source material. We didn't need to know who Wonder Woman,
Right. It doesn't matter.
yeah, it's like and so now you're starting to see some of these websites, some of these newspapers, all of a sudden flip the script on us, and
Yep.
they're putting out articles to now gain the 50% of people that they shunned, right?
Right.
They want them back. Well, that's what happens when you steadily year over year lose readership and viewership,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Uh,
and you saw the report a little while ago, right? That they cleaned house, right? So
yes,
the New York
yes,
Times and some of these other guys, they went top down and they cleaned house and they pulled some weeds and they said, look, we've got to get some diversity of thought in here because you guys are all going down the same rabbit hole and it's not successful. We're losing viewership, readers, subscribers, whatever, like mad. So we need to get some different opinions in here.
yeah.
And they started doing that a while ago. And this is the recourse. This is what's happening now. We're getting articles like this that are saying things that some of people like you and me have been saying for 8 to 10 years, right? Or
For years
longer.
before we've known each other. But now that we have, we also know that we've probably been banging this drum for a long time, right?
Yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah.
We've discussed it. The people we watch, who we've been
Yeah.
invested in, put a lot of time in, right, to
Yep.
watching and keeping up with some people that are great voices in that sphere. And so yeah, man, I can't wait. I just can't wait to look back. And I don't think the battle, it's not over, right? The battle's not over. It's
Nope.
it's not always a time to just rest and relax and let up. It's
Nope.
got to continue to be fought step by step. And I don't want it to sound hyperbolic, but man, like we've been fighting for a while, commenting,
Yeah.
sharing, liking, subscribing, like whatever you can do, and then finally jumping in the game, at least for me personally, and
Yeah.
actually talking about it. You
Yeah.
know?
And the pendulum swings. The pendulum is always swinging. The wheel is
Yes.
always turning. And so it's changing. The wind is changing right now. So a lot more people are going to be, feeling more free to talk about some of these things.
Yes.
And that's a good thing. Discussion is good, and to have different opinions is great, as long as you can discuss those opinions in a rational manner, and not turn into 5 year olds saying that my opinion is the only opinion. And I love having discussions. I love having arguments.
Right.
But at the same time, I want there to be some kind of resolution. Right? It's like, okay, that's fine, but this is where I'm coming from. That's where you're coming from.
And
Whatever.
ultimately, I think a lot of the times, um, from a one-sided perspective, it always does seem to be that the side that you and I have been kind of following tends to try to be the rational ones, that
Yeah.
tends to try to reason, right?
Yep.
To be respectful, to use reason. And we've been called names. I know I
Everything.
have. There's been many a comment or chat that I've talked in that I've been called, and there's comments on even some of my videos, but there's comments I've made on some others' videos and nothing disrespectful, not going out of my way, and it just devolved
Yep.
into everything that you could probably think would be said
Right.
about me, not
Yep.
even seeing me. so,
Yeah.
but so with that, I guess as an example of kind of turning the corner, or maybe at least somewhat, starting that direction. I did see this come out, and I wanted to share it with you as well. I didn't know if you had seen this, but Variety put this out. This is actually a interview with Vulture, but a Disney executive reveals while The Acolyte was canceled after one season, it wasn't where we needed it to be given the cost. And I think that's one of the first times that we have actually really truly seen
Hmm.
someone from Disney reference the cost to the
Yeah.
quality of the show.
Yep.
And that's surprising to me. Like truly surprising.
Well, when you spend $300 million or $280 million on a TV show that nobody watched, you got to take note.
And it says, Alan Bergman said that while the House of Mouse was pleased with how the Acolyte performed in its single season debut, it wasn't enough to justify a follow up, considering the price tag. We were happy with our performance, but it wasn't where we needed it to be, given the cost structure of that title. Quite frankly, to go and
Yeah.
make a season two, that's the reason why we didn't do that. Let alone, let's not kid ourselves. Anybody who criticized that show,
Yep.
anyone who criticized it, if you got on and it wasn't maybe the right forum, you were getting, shut down, called names, said,
Oh yeah.
all the usual suspects, right?
I, I
Um,
mean, I mean, Gary got called all kinds of names for just saying that what's her name, the Canadian, was it Megan, was did a terrible show, and he gets called every name in the book.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, even the Amanda Stenberg, 8.5 minute video to her Instagram saying she was unsurprised Disney didn't renew it following aggressive online backlash surrounding the show's female-driven story and queer undertones. No, it wasn't queer undertones. It
Right.
was queer overtones. And the
Right.
thing, and I don't, and the thing of it is, right, like, and there's a little bit more to this article I want to reference, but for right now, I just want to say this. Star Wars is not the place for political agenda.
Right.
Now, did George Lucas, this is, how democracy dies with thunderous applause. Was he referencing George Bush years ago? Okay. Like, but those are subtle ways. You know, that's to me when you overtly make it a point to go in a direction that just doesn't need to be. Look, democracy, Star Wars, the Senate coming under the control of Palpatine, right?
Right.
That
Yep.
works. That fits.
Yep.
This did not fit within the
Right.
context of Star Wars. It didn't serve anyone. And even the people it was supposedly serving, it didn't serve them well.
Right.
It didn't serve them well. It was not great representation, so to speak. It was
Yep.
terrible representation. It was terribly written, terribly acted.
Yep.
Even Squid Game guy, just brutal to me. He had
I
some
mean,
of the
he
better parts, but
right.
some of it was really bad.
Well, I mean, he was the best actor out of all of them for
I
sure.
know.
And so his
It's
comments that he made
rough.
are a little disheartening.
They are
But
disheartening, to be honest with you.
it's
Yes.
probably what he was told under
Absolutely.
translation, and
Yes.
so there's many layers of obfuscation that took place there that the correct information didn't get to him about what was going on.
And the thing of it is too, is that she says here this, that it's not a huge shock. Amanda Stenberg, this was in her Instagram post, but she
Yeah.
said ever since the series was unveiled in 2020, think about it, 2020, dude.
Yep.
That's how long. We started experiencing a rampage of, I would say, hyper conservative bigotry. So there she's already jumping at one group of people,
Hmm.
right? And then automatically saying that, hyper conservative bigotry and vitriol. I don't think she had the church groups after her. That's just my
Nope.
opinion.
No, she
She
didn't.
had regular fans just not happy with the product. And vitriol, prejudice, hatred, and hateful language towards us. Now, look, by no means am I saying that there's not people who get on social media and they become keyboard warriors,
Hmm.
right? 10 foot tall and bulletproof on a keyboard. But those are the few,
Hmm.
very few, infinitesimal number
Yeah.
of people that really do not add up to a meaningful number of the folks who truly just didn't enjoy the show.
Yeah.
And I bet that a lot of times, even some of those comments that were made are completely misconstrued
Yes.
because
Yeah.
we never saw receipts. We never saw examples. We
Yep.
didn't see receipts of DMs. We
Hmm.
didn't get examples of tweets and personal messages.
Well,
No
but
one ever shows you the receipts. They
but
just
I
tell
I
you what
also
happened.
I also don't doubt that some of those happen. There are those
I
people out
agree.
there that they're going to do that stuff. I go back to Kevin Smith, man. How did he handle when Disney was protesting his movie? So he made the movie Dogma,
Right.
and the church groups came out and were protesting it because it was under Disney's name that this movie was being put out. And what did Kevin Smith do? He walked down to the protest, picked up a picket sign, and started
And started
protesting with them,
protesting.
and
Right.
got on camera
God, I
and
forgot
got
all about that,
interviewed
dude. Holy crap.
about how bad this movie is that we haven't even seen yet and that nobody's seen. And then as soon as they went from Disney to Miramax, a Disney subsidiary, the protests went away.
That is so funny. I forgot all about that. And I remember, when did Dogma come out? Was
I
that
96 or something.
97 maybe or
Yeah,
so?
somewhere around there.
I yeah, Kevin Smith protests his own movie. 1999 is
99.
when
Wow.
it
Okay.
was.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yep.
think about the troll move that was.
Yes.
That's a
God,
sense
I
of
forgot
humor.
all about that.
That's a sense of
Wow.
humor right there,
Yes, that
right?
absolutely is.
He could laugh at himself at those days, and he said, "This is ridiculous. They're protesting
Yeah.
my movie that they haven't even seen yet." And he just was like dumbfounded by it. It's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
let's go see what all these people are like." And then he's like, "Oh, let's get into it. Hey, let's get on camera. Wouldn't that be funny?"
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, also, what's even funnier about looking at this is sometimes you think back to like, oh, 1999, and you look at what maybe supposedly people were upset about.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, that feels like that was in the 40s or 50s. It's like
Yep.
I remember when Ellen DeGeneres, was the first gay character in a sitcom like
Yep.
openly, right?
Right.
That was a
Yeah.
big deal. And people
Yep.
were like, "Oh my God, I can't," and it's just so funny to me. And that wasn't that long ago.
It really wasn't.
But and so it's amazing also, I guess, at what now passes for the norm,
Mm-hmm.
even in music. I remember Madonna being very, pushing the envelope, Prince pushing the envelope. And then now I look at the female artists that are out, and
Oh, right.
it's
Wrecking ball.
beyond pushing the, or Cardi B, any of your
Right.
video, like
Yeah.
it's well beyond pushing the envelope. It's just like just nasty. Like
Yep.
this is just nasty. It's not
Yep.
even it's not even fun nasty. It's just like, yeah. It's interesting though what is the norm now compared to 25 years ago. Wow, that's funny. Yeah, I forgot all about that, man. I'm glad you brought that up. So look, man, I don't have much more else to really bring up tonight. I don't know if there's anything else that you really wanted to mention that you felt a
No,
need
just
to want to discuss.
go out there, spend time with your family, your loved ones,
Yeah,
your
man.
pets. Reach out to somebody if you don't have somebody. There's always somebody out there waiting to take a phone call, a video message, get on stream with somebody. There's going to be plenty of people streaming tonight. After us, with us, all that time frame. So just reach out, connect with some people, try to create some magic in your life.
Yeah, man. And I just want to say, for everybody watching this tonight, hope you have a great Christmas. And like you said, able to enjoy some time with some family or friends or anybody that you wish. And yeah, I mean, it's we'll be back on New Year's Eve and try to have some fun with that. Maybe we'll do something a little different. Still bring some stories, some news, some trailers, but maybe we'll kind of come up with something fun to play. Maybe a game. Maybe I honestly, Matthew, wouldn't even mind doing a watch party sometime with
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
But just to go through something. But yeah, man, I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and Santa brings you everything you wanted and more, including you, Matthew. We got one more week to go before we call it a year. So I'll save that good stuff for next week. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
man, thank
I
you.
I think we should probably have a top 10
Yeah,
uh movies, TV shows type of thing to go down. But yeah,
And maybe top 10 stories of the year,
stories. Yeah, yeah.
possibly, like big, whatever that means. We'll suss that out.
Yep.
But yeah, man. So yeah. Anything else you want to add to it before I shut her
Nope.
down?
That's it. Merry Christmas, Happy Boxing Day, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah,
Yeah,
whatever you guys are celebrating out there. We enjoy your conversation, and you know, keep tuning in, keep bringing the chat. We love you
that's
guys.
right. Yeah, man. Love everybody here and really appreciate it. And hit that like and subscribe. Share it if you like it. Be a good friend. Change somebody's life today. Thanks, y'all. Have a great Christmas.